Thanks so much for coming. Today, my name is Blanca Gutierrez, and I'm a PhD student at the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics. And today, I'm going to talk to you about my research that it has to do with how cancer cells get stressed and how we can learn from them and then taking this knowledge to develop new therapies. So I study this type of disease that is called acute lymphoblastic leukemia, also known as ALL. And one of the reasons why I study this disease is because it's extremely common. It's so common that 1 in every 4 kids that they have cancer, they are going to have this type of disease. Now, if we look at the available therapies, there are many, and many of them they work, but at least at the beginning. However, we have a very small subset of children that they are around the 20 to 40% of them, that no matter what, they are going to get the disease over and over and over and over again. And this is partially because their cancer cells, they have learned how to deal with these chemotherapy treatments. And then these treatments are not effective anymore. And then this leads to decreased survival for these kids. So given that this is one of the most common cancer in kids, and also that you have this population of kids, is that this type of cancer is the most common cause of death in patients with cancer that they're under 20. And at least for me, the most concerning thing is that until now, there's not available therapy for this subset of kids, that they are in danger of relapsing and have decreased survival. So, from the many different treatments that there are available, one of them, they are called glucocorticoids. And these drugs, they are amazing in the sense of what they have achieved for patients. So, glucocorticoids might sound like a very complicated molecule. However, we're very familiar with them. We are so familiar that we have felt like their effects in our body without even knowing it. So, because these molecules are from the family of some molecules that they are produced in our body whenever we're stressed, or whenever we feel angry, or whenever we feel anything that is just stressing us. And the reason why this drug is widely used is because it's very effective to kill leukemia cells. And in fact, there are many different studies that they have shown that patients that they do respond to this type of drug, they have higher chances of surviving if you compare them to the ones that they do not respond. So whenever I like to talk about glucocorticoids and how important they are for this type of patients, I like to use the following analogy. So whenever I think about ALL patients, I see them as warriors, as people that they are fighting against cancer. And I see the glucocorticoids as weapons that they are given by doctors and scientists to the kids to fight back the disease. However, cancer cells are extremely smart cells. And after some time that they have been exposed to this drug, they are going to develop different mechanisms and different ways to protect themselves from these drugs. And then no matter how much time or how much they increase the dose, these cells are not going to respond, and then they are not going to die. So what we know about glucocorticoids and how they work, we know at least 2 things. And the first thing that we know is that whenever you have normal leukemia cells and they are exposed to this type of drugs, the cells are going to develop a stress response that is going to lead into the production of different stress molecules. And this accumulation of stress molecules is what is going to make the cell to ultimately to die. However, and that's the other piece of information that we know, is that the resistant leukemia cells, no matter how much time you put them with the drug or how much you increase the dose, there's not going to be a stress response. So this is incredible. How is it possible that under the same conditions you had these 2 different drugs, these 2 different cells, and they are responding in a different way? So the question that we are trying to address is how resistant leukemia cells can suppress this stress response. So what I did first is I took these 2 types of cells, and then I checked what were the difference between them. And what I found, or what my research found, is that the resistant leukemia cells express a lot of a group of molecules that they are called DOPs. And these DOPs, they are important, or at least they are very relevant to this scenario because they are capable of suppressing or blocking this stress response. So if I could summarize my research in using the previous analogy, I will say that the resistant leukemia cell express a lot of these DOPs, and then these DOPs are going to defend the leukemia cells from the glucocorticoid. However, another thing that I have seen is that if you treat the cells also with some other molecules called DOP inhibitors, they are going to basically stop the activity of DOPs. They are going to destroy these DOPs. The resistant cancer cells, they start to respond again. They start to get stressed again, and ultimately they die. So just to finish, I would like to say that there are many, many things that we don't know about cancer. However, if we make an effort on keep studying these different mechanisms of resistance, we are getting closer to develop new therapies. And for these patients, it means the world for them. For these patients, new available therapies means that there's hope to survive and to keep moving forward with their lives. And in that respect, I hope that my research can make a difference. Thank you so much.